Welcome back, guys. It is the First Strike Open Qualifiers in conjunction with Node Street Gamers. That's the channel we're on. Give us a follow. This has been a really interesting match. We came through from T1 versus Envy, which was neck and neck with super slow plays. Now we've got C9 Blue up against Slimy Boogermen. The name that just never gets old, except from the first time I said it, And it's been the complete opposite. C9 have just rushed every single opportunity. They have been a powerhouse. But like I said before, Ascent is their best map. We're moving on to Haven, which theoretically should be neutral ground. Moxie, what do you think we're going to be seeing on Haven?
Well, we're going to see Slimy Boogermen absolutely try and win this round because there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know, they were able to secure split, but it's going to be map free. So to get there, you first have to be able to win this round. As first, we're going to get to see a little bit of the scoreboard. And do you know what? This is surprising. TenZ is actually second. Or actually, no, TenZ scoreboard.
Yeah, no, it's not like in any sort of an order, right? TenZ is dominating
TenZ is top.
this entire
TenZ is
game.
head and shoulders above
average combat score of
460.
460. Jeez, it's not just about the kills. I mean, okay, he's had fewer deaths as well, but like 467 average combat, player rating of 109, average damage of 260. That's almost 2 people per round on average. So he's performing out of his mind. We kind of highlighted him at the start of the match. He has been performing to expected ridiculousness. The other 2 people I kind of highlighted were Instinct and Intox, and they've just not been getting that value. Those 2 duelists, we've kind of been expecting them to be getting onto point, getting those kills, and they've been trying. But unfortunately, they're just getting shut down by C9 over and over again.
And Reyna needs to be at the top in terms of that kill leaderboard, right? Reyna is the one that you look to be the one who picks up those early frags, who allows you to move a little bit safer onto those points, and that's just not happening. Intux has been lagging behind, and a lot of that is down to just the aggression is in the wrong place. Reyna can be very strong if the team leans into her, but in this setting, if you go solo into the entirety of Cloud9 Blue with absolutely no idea, no information of what you're walking into, you are just going to get absolutely shredded in seconds. And so even if you're on one of the agents with the most potential to be topping up that kill leaderboard, you're going to be lagging behind at the bottom end of it.
And just a quick refresher for you guys. These are the players on these 2 teams. Cloud9, I'm sure you know them very well at this point. TenZ, Mitch, Shinobi, Relics, and Vice have been phenomenal throughout this series. The aggression that they've been showing, wow, unstoppable force. Boogermen, Anderson, Instinct, Intox, Dev, and Welshie, well, they've got a second chance here to try and show us what they're made of. We're going to be heading on into Haven. Finally, it is that 3-point map. And first up, we got Cloud9 on the defense. And again, every map has kind of been slanting towards defender-sided over the last couple of months. So Boogermen starting on the attack here, and this is how they started Ascent as well. So they know that they've got a lot to get done. And I'm not sure they're going to make this one happen, Moxie.
Well, they are coming in with more smokes. They've paired up with the Jet and the Omen, so they are going to have the same advantage, the same amount of side obscuration that was there for Cloud9 Blue on Ascent, which really was one of the deciding factors in each of those engagements. This is Pistol. Boogermen really want to try and use that utility to keep themselves safe, but they're the ones who lose that first player again.
That's not a good look here for Boogermen as they make their way towards... Well, as they made their way towards A site. Now, a swift retreat. They made a ton of noise on A. They forced out the rotations, but Mitch lying in wait manages to get a pick off. And Dev is going to try and take this and get the trade. But there's so much support from the rest of Cloud9. They're making it almost impossible for Boogermen to get any picks here. Slowly but surely, however, Boogermen will whittle away at Cloud9's numbers and bring this to an even 2v2 as Dev will go in to get the plant. And can he survive long enough to allow this to explode? The fault line will come through. Shinobi not able to get the shots in through the disorientation. Vice last man standing, and Intox will take him down. Intox having moved over from the Reyna onto the Breach. They play the same, right?
There's a big difference in the Boogermen that we see here than in the Boogermen that we see in the previous round. And that's they're able to stop Tens. As soon as Tens goes down, Cloud9 Blue's aggression, initiation power, and frag potential diminishes with it. And so Boogermen feel like they're safe enough to actually try and move around this point a little bit faster, a little bit easier. Cloud9 Blue, well, their defense isn't going to be easy. It's going to be shotguns to come out. But Ralix gets an easy 2K! It walks straight into the raid.
2K with the shorty, no less, but it will get traded out as we do see two pickups getting taken. And it's going to follow that up. It's back and forth here. 2v1. Shinobi last man standing for Cloud9 Blue. The plant has already come through. He's got a Spectre and a Dream. And these post-plant positions are pretty good from the last two standing members for Boogermen. They've got really good sights here. And that dark cover is going to make it painfully obvious where this last person is coming from. Flashpoint comes out. Forces a slight stall. And Spike is starting to tick away.
He's behind the point. Oh, Sam,
the swing is good.
That dark cover evaporated just when Shinobi really needed it to stay. Because he uses the dark cover to try and disguise his movements around that point, and then he can try and move in properly, get either that breach or that Sova out of the way. But because it goes down, he's immediately spotted out, he's immediately left in the open, and he is immediately gone. Boogermen feeling a little bit more confident now. 2 points in a row beneath their belt. Oh, Dev going for that Sova play that we
doing
tend
better than
to
what they did on the previous map.
Absolutely. These guys have got a lot more confidence, a lot more aggression, and it's placed in the right locations as well. They're going for a very nice split push right now, going to have a lot of pressure on A for both sewers and long. And Cloud9 Blue, they don't want to push this. The Raze is forced to fall back on Heaven to wait for the team's rotation. Cloud9 Blue's going to place the recontest.
The spam from down below from Anderson managing to take down one in Heaven, that is not ideal for Cloud9. They basically give up A. Now they're in a recontest situation. They did fall by here, but is it going to be enough? We've got one or two up in Heaven. The rest are going to be pushing through Connector, but they need to go now. They're running out of time. The trades will come through, but it's definitely in favor now of Boogermen. 4v2 situation. Last two standing here for Cloud9. Boogermen, of course, have every single angle covered, and it looks like C9 just going for the save.
C9, unfortunately, if they'd still had that Raze alive in Heaven, you've got to ask yourself what would have happened. Because it takes them so long to come through onto that recontest because they have to go for the Heaven push again. And then they drop down, they don't have that presence, they've already used up that two Sky Clyde bursts. And Boogerman don't get overwhelmed, right? That's the difference. You cast your mind back to Ascent on A, where Boogermen are trying to play in, and Cloud9 just completely blanket them with those smokes. But this time, Boogerman, because they're running that Jet, because they're running that Omen, they've got smokes of their own to try and contest those angles, to try and shut down Heaven without necessarily getting the pick.
And now Boogermen have been able to full buy, forcing Cloud9 into a very, very janky buy here. We're going to see them pushing towards C long this time around. They do have Dev kind of hanging out towards A, using that Owl drone to get some information. Tens shoots the Owl drone down, so they know that there's at least someone in B. C is completely clear, and Intox is going to be the entry fragger here this time around, as breaches want to do. You see the Jet flying up into the sky, trying to get a little bit of information there. Gets a little bit. Wow, Tens trying to take on the world on his own, but Instinct will get the better of him. And that's, again, a massive boon for Boogermen, taking down Tens, taking down the biggest issue on Cloud9. But Cloud9 playing this a little bit more patiently than what I would have expected. They're going to be going for this recontest, but they're going with 4 players instead of allowing one person to kind of push in on their own. The Rolling Thunder is going to come out though, and that's going to deny them any sort of push. Followed up by the flashpoint as well. They've been stalled out for so long that even if they get onto the point now, I don't think they would be able to get the defuse.
Absolutely, you've run out of time. You're just going to grab a gun and try to get out. Boogermen, we're seeing this team really turn around. You pointed out, Intox, you said to watch out for this player, and he's showing up. This breach play, not necessarily in terms of kills, but in terms of utility usage and knowing that you don't need to win the fight if you can just stop Cloud9 from actually taking a big step forward. Breach is so good at delays. No one wants to press in after they've been rolling funded. No one wants to press in while they're still flashed.
Full buys all around here. And again, Boogermen. They don't really have a set default here. They're going to have one person push out, or at least peek out of window. Doesn't spot anything. And the Omen's chilling towards C long. Going to try and get some information there. But the rest of the team moving towards A site. Dark cover coming out here from Shinobi. Will spot out that there is some movement towards the A side, but Shinobi will get the first pick of the round, and Mitch is going to follow that up with a nice second pick. Between the 3 of them, they're going to get a ton of cleanup. Last person standing was poor Anderson, who was all the way towards C. Gets to A a little bit too late. Everybody's got all these angles covered. Does he go for this? He does. He gets denied.
It's such a bait and switch as well. Because they get blanketed out by that dark cover from the Omen, they think that they can aggressively push onto him and then from that try and take A site and move towards heaven. But it's such a huge look at me, I'm a target decoy play because Relics was just waiting with that Phantom to catch the fish that Shinobi was able to reel in. And now we're going to see Cloud9 Blue. First point on the board for their defense. They've got 2 ultimates to play with as well. We've seen when they've got that Killjoy lockdown colored in, that sometimes they'll just give up the point entirely so that they can catch more people out with it, and when you're playing around with 3 points on Haven, it's much more beneficial to go for that style of play, and already A is looking a little bit more deserted. Alex out alone is going to go for a little bit of a scout with that boombot down to it. But everyone is currently being pressed on A long, already falling back, wanting to move towards Heaven.
Ooh,
Instinct is
a nice pick up there from Instinct. Dashes straight onto point to create some space for the rest of his team, but now they're also going to drop the Killjoy ultimate. That's the lockdown. They're going to try and deny any space for C9 to come back in and recontest. Going to pull back a little bit, and this is good. And this is the thing. They know where they've planted the spike. So C9 pushing through onto site. C9. There it is. They push. They pull back a little bit, but they kind of play into C9's hands. C9's know exactly where they're going to be, and they manage to get yet another round on the board. And this is kind of what happens. So you win the first 2 rounds, creates a little bit of a snowball. You get to like round 5, you've got 4 rounds in the belt, but that's where the enemy team can make the switch, can start to make something happen. This is what we're seeing from C9 Blue. They lost the first 4 rounds from a really unfortunate snowball, but now they've started to pick things up in their favor, and they're forcing Boogermen into a really unfortunate bye here.
They do, however, have Bladestorm. It will be available for Instinct, and we see teams on that broken bye immediately force that Jet ultimate just so you carry that same level of threat that you cannot be aggressively rushed down, and you can already hear it being popped. Instinct will be moving forward with that one. Right at the head of the pack, wants to make sure that they don't get rushed down A long. Cloud9 Blue going to be playing a little bit of mind games with that from the shadows.
That's massive. Get so much information. They know it's an A push, and that forces Boogermen to push very, very aggressively onto site. Possibly a little bit more aggressively than they'd been planning to. As you said, the Bladestorm had already come out. The Nano Swarm just millimeters off center, not able to stop the plant. And now C9 once again waiting for the rest of their players to be in position before they take this, or before they attempt to take the site. Playing a little bit more patiently than what we had seen previously, but is it going to be enough? Trades back and forth. 2 versus 2. Oh, make that a 1 versus 1. Nope. It looks like Anderson is going to be able to come out on top here. That was a very scrappy round, but luckily for Boogermen, they do manage to come out on top. Their economy is still a mess, so they're not going to be able to full buy across the board, but they do manage to get another point under their belt, and that is a massive boon.
And Haven is one of those as well, where even if you are behind in economy, you can get to these points. Yes, it costs a lot. It means that your rotations are going to be extremely long, but you don't have to play down C long. You don't have to risk going into an unfair fight where you're coming in from like a Stinger up against an Operator. As I say that though, they will be having a little bit of a look down C long. Anderson going to be trying for a bait. Dark Cover going to be coming in to cover him. Make sure to check Cubby. No members of Cloud9 waiting to surprise him there. Dark Cover's going to be evaporating in a couple of seconds, but Cloud9 once again giving this side over. Allowing Boogermen to walk in, knowing that they've got the utility, that they've got the ult, and they can come back in and win the war.
Spike planted.
This is actually huge from Boogermen. They keep hitting A, making C9 think they're totally one-dimensional, and then suddenly they just go for a full C hit. And it's working out way better than I think they would have even expected, because C9 were all on the other side of the map. Now they have to come back for retake. They're down to the last 2 players. They have to try and make something happen here. Relix does manage to get 1 pick, but it's not going to be enough. We're down to a 1v3 here. Vice is the last man standing. That is an interesting fault line, but it does keep him back, keep him at bay. Stop him from any attempt to defuse. Didn't matter. Well, she manages to get the pick off there. And now we're seeing kind of the reverse of what we saw previously on Ascent. Ascent was so heavily one-sided in favor of Cloud9, and now Boogermen, they're making Haven their home.
Boogermen know that Cloud9 did not have enough to really invest in the op. So we saw them heavy push into A long because they know that they're not going to get aggressively pushed with the op. We saw them push that previous round into C long because they know they're not going to get aggressively pushed with the op. However, now there's a very real potential that TenZ is going to aggressively push in C long with the op. And this is something that Boogermen have got to be prepared to deal with. You've got to go for the bait peak.
Get out of my way.
They know the op's there. They know how to avoid it.
Dueling Rolling Thunders coming through, and that definitely worked a little bit in favor of Cloud9, but nobody expected the Hunter's Fury to just face into them. And that's 3 kills on the board here for Boogermen. C9 are floundering. Despite having 10s with the Operator on C long, he whiffs his first shot and just wasn't able to clutch it out like we know he can do.
He got pressured so much. As soon as Boogerman identified that an op's there, every single member on C long just takes a big up step forward. And the Operator, yes, you can hit multiple people with 1 bullet, but it is so very hard to do, especially when you're just being completely blocked out by such a large amount of smokes. Now Boogerman, they lived through the Operator push. They lived through the Operator defense. They have the credits in Cloud9 because they invested in that Operator. It's gonna be an awkward buy indeed.
Janky. That's the word I like to use. Janky. Shinobi managed to like survive.
There we go.
You know, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. Shinobi did manage to save his Phantom from the previous round, so at least he's got a little bit of firepower there. I mean, even Boogermen coming into this round. Oh my god. Check your corners. You're already at a 5-point deficit and you just walk straight into an enemy jet. That is a super unfortunate look here for Cloud9. It feels like they just have no idea what needs to get done. I mean, even Dev not checking behind the corner in sewer, doesn't realize Relix is right there. And Relix isn't going for kills, he's going for information. Instinct finally turns around to check if someone's chilling there. But it's not enough. Okay, the information's being pulled over to Cloud9, but it's the last 2 players standing. Make that 1 player, as TenZ is gonna save. I don't know, I think he managed to pick up a gun. Yeah, he's managed to pick up a Vandal, and he's just getting the hell out of there.
He wants to just take in as much weaponry as he possibly can, because when you are at what, this is going to be a 6-point difference we're heading into. This is a stark difference to the results that we saw on Ascent, because Cloud9 Blue, this is what happens when you just lose so many points in a row. Because you don't have those superior weapons, you have to get aggressive. This is able to pick one, and yeah, in the long run, that's going to do wonders by trying to cripple Boogermen's economy, but you walk right back into Dev, who's cut through B and cuts you off. And now this is where it really becomes... Yeah, it was very cheeky. You got that first pick, you just want to try and take that gun through into the next round. Because, again, they weren't able to get the amount of picks that they wanted to. They're going to be coming in with rifles and full armor, but it's such an investment. They're already below 1,000 credits for most of this team. Mitch is going to be putting the Killjoy utility onto C, so you will have that turret making sure that it clips anyone coming through on Garage, and you can catch them out as they come on C long, but they know that the Killjoy or the Jet is very likely to be playing there, and Boogermen once again is going to go right exactly into
Oh no, instinct. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Doesn't dash onto site. Instead, tries to just walk it in. Got the Blade Storm out, but it's not going to be enough if you just walk into the crosshairs of an enemy player. And that's a massive advantage here for Cloud9, because Spike is chilling in Garage with Dev. But Welshie is on B. They're really split from each other. Welshie managing to get a pick is pretty big. So they do manage to even out the numbers. And now he's going to relink with Dev. They have an opportunity here. I mean, this is a B hold. They could very easily push onto C and plant, but instead they're holding angles. They're holding corners. Welshie spots Relics, but just a split second too late. Relics gets the headshot, takes him down, and Dev, last person left alive here. Oh, Cloud9 going towards A.
And find an angle.
30 seconds
He's
left.
making sure that he keeps himself safe with the Vandal.
This is the
Even if
perfect
you
time
lose
to
the
plant
round.
on C.
Like, he doesn't... Well, he's thinking about it, but the turret's going to be there. Now
there
the
we go.
turret's out of the way. Now he can go for that. So he wanted to try and
Spike
figure out where that
planted.
Killjoy utility was. There is a showstopper in play for Cloud9 Blue. If they really want this point, and it's going to be very important in terms of economy, can invest that. Oh, but not if the Raze is the one to come in first.
Shock darts don't manage to get any value. There's that showstopper that you were talking about. It's going to get blasted straight into Garage. And good night, Dev, says Relics. And they will get the defuse here. That could have been such a good play. Possibly if the showstopper hadn't been in play. Maybe if Dev had been able to clean up on Relics as he saw the shoulder peek while he was hiding out in the Garage connector. But unfortunately, it just wasn't going to happen. We're last round and a half.
Super important
C9.
too.
It was, but now, like, C9 desperately want to win this round. If you're going into the second half, you want at least 4 points on the board.
And that's why it really was important that the showstopper was there, because now they were able to win that point. They were able to win that money. They're able to buy rifles and heavy armor to properly try and contest Boogermen. Alex is already going to be caught out on A long, and all of Boogermen are actually just going to immediately go. Anderson had actually used the From the Shadows to teleport onto the point, and Relics had been chased right into the jaws of death.
You should run. Spike planted.
Killjoy lockdown is going to come through. And this is, of course, going to be Boogermen's. Hunter's Fury comes out as well. Doesn't manage to get much of anything. It is, of course, good for zoning, stopping Cloud9 from aggressing onto the point. It's 3v4 in favor of Boogermen. C9 playing patiently, trying to find a good opportunity to push on, but that's Rolling Thunder, man. It's there, it's ready to go. Shinobi teleport straight onto site. That was ballsy, but it's not going to work out, and that's going to be 9-3 going into the half.
That was
Switching
the
sides.
worst result for Cloud9 Blue as well. Because now Boogermen are on the defense. And that's where it can become extremely difficult for the attackers to start to make headway, as we're again going to get to see a couple of replays brought to you by our sponsor, GoPuff. And Sam, do you know what? I'm happy we get to relive this. Look at that showstopper right in to A long and then down out of window to catch that one member of Hell. And Relics doesn't even need to stay. Just hits the showstopper and turnarounds because cool razors don't look at explosions.
Boogermen on a little bit of a tear here. I mean, I'm not sure if either of us expected a map 3, but it seems highly likely. That being said, we complimented C9 on their aggression, and if they bring that forward here on the offense, they could turn this around entirely and bring this up to a map win for themselves. This is, of course, just a pistol round, and this is more or less what their default has looked like. You keep the Killjoy towards the C site as they 10 slowly pushes up towards B, and they'll have Relics watching A. Now, Relics has discovered that there's not much happening over on the A site, so 10's watching C, or rather B. Dark cover comes out, but there is so many chilling here. 10's does, however, manage to take down one. That is huge. And the push is going to go straight onto C. That was a great play from 10's. It buys them a lot of time. Just enough time to get the plant. Evens out the numbers. 4v4 here. But Cloud9 just have to get into, post-plant position. Cover some angles. The turret comes out to help out a little bit there on that. And the cleanup is so good from C9 using this denial of sight from both the dark cover and the Cypher cages. Easy turnaround for them, and they're going to take the very first pistol round.
It's that same Cloud9 tactic that we see. Use those smokes, completely isolate Boogermen when they want to push in for that recontest. However, they've got to do it so many times in a row, 5 to be exact, if they want to even out this scoreboard. They've started on the right path in this attack. They've been able to win pistols, therefore they've been able to buy a little bit more powerful weapons. A couple of Bulldogs coming out. As Boogermen are forced to go onto the budget, they don't want to lose that third round. They want to hit that 10th point and cripple C9 Blue's economy as much as possible to set themselves up for that 11th and then 12th point. So get prepared for this defense to be very passive. Classics, shotguns, and crates to hide behind.
Now we've praised C9 for their aggression, and here they're playing a little bit more slow and steady, trying to be a little bit more tactful in how they approach this. Again, they kind of went for that BC potential push in the previous round, and at the moment they're just making noise in mid because the spike is making its way towards A long. Oh, instinct chilling there with the shorty. Was not expecting the nano swarm to come out there, do a little bit of damage, has to use the dash to get out of dodge as quickly as possible. Again, Spike slowly moving up towards A. That's the thing. Boogermen have already made it basically to A. They're slow, but they still get here in time. C9 speed has been the real issue, but who needs speed when you can, kill everyone? They're just outgunning at this point, On the defense, they were struggling because they weren't able to get on top of the attack, but this time around the aggression plus the fact that they're just outgunning means that they're going to get themselves yet another point on the board.
It's such a smart play as well, where they know that Boogermen, because they are outgunned, are going to be in those positions where you hide behind a crate with a shotgun and find a pick. So what Cloud9 Blue do is they remove all power that Boogermen have on deciding where they need to be standing.
Flawless.
The second that they leave those positions, those crates, and they try and move on to that A site, they become absolutely powerless in the tempo and absolutely powerless in that spread fight. And now Cloud9 Blue looking to set themselves up not just for this next round, but for the round after. Boogermen lost absolutely everything, and the economy reflects.
Well, so bearing in mind that was the second pistol round, so we're technically on round 3 of the second half, and this is to be expected. You lose the first 2 pistol rounds, you full buy on the third round, and C9 as well, to be expected. You win the first pistol round, you buy a little bit on the second, and on the third you don't buy anything because you want to save up for that 4th round should you lose this 3rd round in the half. So this is all going kind of according to plan. Cloud9 just want to kind of keep up this momentum here and see if they can push through. Again, going for that B push. This is kind of their staple. They've just left the turret on C this time. In fact, nobody cares about C. Like, both of these teams are just pretending C doesn't exist and hoping for the best.
Well, we're gonna see is Cloud9 Blue. If they actually want to go for this B push, they have to have enough utility left for when it becomes a recontest because of the amount of angles that are available. First Cloud Burst will come on through from Tens. Buys them all of the time they need to get that plant going on through, and it will be the B. Shinobi is actually going to use that Shadow Step to make sure that he's able to disengage safely out. And now he can look to cover off this angle to make sure the Boogermen don't wrap around for Garage, but he loses the duel against Welshi, who can now move to steal the position that the Omen was providing and force Cloud9 Blue to get a lot more aggressive.
Here.
Nano Swarm comes out a little bit prematurely. No one was on the spike. But C9 are managing to get pickoffs as well. Trades back and forth. And it's just absolute chaos on the point. And this is the problem with the B execute. Because you have to pull all the way back into the courtyard. And when you're all the way back there, once utility starts coming out from the defending team, the team that are attempting to defuse, you can't see anything. Yes, you can remember exactly where you planted the spike, but you can't physically see what's going on. So the shots are going to get fired out at you. You can't really aggress in on it. And it's a very, very easy retake.
Boogermen now also on that home stretch in terms of points. 10 to 5, 5 different Cloud9 Blues. Economy not out of the woods just yet. Boogermen are able to win this round, and Cloud9 Blue it's going to be in a very awkward round where they don't want to be on a forced buy. They cannot go onto the budget buy when Boogermen are on that 12th and final point. So everything they do is going to be so measured. This isn't the usual aggression we're used to seeing from Cloud9 Blue. They want to make sure that they're managing through each of these duels from Boogermen and carry through the most amount of guns possible.
Cloud9 going for their usual default here. They've got their Killjoy holding up in C long. And they're going to just aggress straight onto C site. But they're just falling like flies to Boogermen, not realizing that it's such a heavily guarded site, more so than what they had expected previously. Oh, and Mitch losing out that 1v1, very unfortunate, and that's going to be a point on the board for Boogermen, and we are that much closer to match point.
They weren't able to save a single weapon either. They're going for the broken buy, they're going for the eco buy, so that they will be able, similar to that way that we see the teams save the second so they can buy the third, challenge Boogermen if they're able to pick up that 12th point to take us to match potential. And Slimy Boogermen, do you know what? They know they're comfortable. Ooh. Yes, it's a risky play, going full armor and rifles, but they understand if they're able to take out as many members of Cloud9 Blue as possible, even with Cloud9 Blue coming in on a little bit of a lesser buy, their economy is still not going to be set, and Boogermen will be able to take that match point that much easier.
I swear I just saw double Ares. Like, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Ares. I love to see that, but it's definitely surprising. That being said, Cloud9 coming in on not a ton of economy here. They're going to be pushing towards A site. Once again, leaving C, pretending it doesn't exist. But Boogermen have kind of read this. What they haven't read, however, is Tens, the Blade Storm, and just the raw potential that he brings to the table. Well, she is the last man standing here. There's no hope for a save as Killjoy is coming up behind him. It's just him left alive, and Tens is going to take him down. Once again, a nice swift round for C9 Blue, and all off the back of that Blade Storm. That Blade Storm was instrumental in ensuring them the round.
It's that Cloud9 Blue aggression that we're so used to seeing, and Boogermen weren't expecting it, because Cloud9 Blue hadn't been going as aggressive. These last rounds, they did not expect Tens to just go straight for the throat with that dash and then Blade Storm. You can see they even get caught completely unawares next to hell. And now Boogermen are the ones on that broken push, making sure that they're going to be coming in, making sure that they can still put themselves onto that 12th point and really force Cloud9 Blue into that very awkward position where, yes, you're starting to claw points back, but you can't afford to drop a single one until you've equalized.
And Boogermen being forced back up C-Long. They started to push out there. Again, this is kind of an eco round for them, so they wanted to aggress down C-Long. They get caught out by, I think, the alarm bot. They destroy the alarm bot, gives away their position. They run all the way back up C long, and now Spike has gone down for C9 Blue. They know that it's an anti-eco. They know that they have the gun advantage, and all they have to do is make sure that they have solid angles. Shinobi's going to be trying to hold heaven from down below in A long. He's going to be backed up. Oh, that's a big rolling thunder coming through, though. Not sure if it's going to really amount to too much. Relix uses the showstopper. It's more for zoning than anything else. The real kills come through when he pulls out his gun. And he's going to be able to get a ton of those kills. Oh my goodness. Tries to get that last kill onto Dev. Isn't able to. But Mitch can swing on him. And he'll get that final blow. That's another point on the board for Cloud9.
But remember, Boogermen were coming in with the lesser buy in that round, and now we can start to see them. They want to finish things, Sam. It's the up. It's the defending up. It's the defending up Sova play, where you are just going to have an absolute iron-tight hold on C. And so if Cloud9 Blue try to go for the aggressive plays, where we've seen them push onto that A site and just immediately move into this, they are putting themselves at such a risk of getting early picks.
Revealing area.
It's interesting that they've got the op on C long, because for the majority of this map, Cloud9 have kind of been pretending that C site doesn't exist, or at the very least, if they push onto C, they generally tend to go through garage. So interesting to note that they are having the op on C, and even more interesting to note that Cloud9 have got 2 people watching C long. We're going to see the teleport coming through there. It's going to spot out exactly that there are some people coming up A long, expecting that to be the push. But the rotate hasn't started yet, so this is a fantastic opportunity for C9 to push onto site, but they haven't started to yet. You can actually already see Boogermen expect that somebody's going to be pushing through garage. It's what C9 have done before. It's what they might do again, and still Boogermen hold on C.
Still that operator currently out of contest on that
left.
spike. Now Boogermen feel that there is going to be a push, but they've got to get this rotation going on through. Already they're moving from defenders trying to get up to heaven, but Cloud9 Blue are forcing the attack before they're ready.
You should run.
There's the Hunter's Fury coming up, manages to take down one and tag another, doesn't get the
10
second kill.
seconds left.
Killjoy will drop. Drops that lockdown, but is it going to be enough? It is C9's lockdown. No players are going to get caught out there, but they're denying sight from heaven, so Instinct isn't going to be able to get a ton of value out of this operator, and Boogermen, they're pulling back. They're going to save.
They want to make sure that they're in the best terms of economy. They want to keep a hold of that operator. Because you saw what happened as soon as Cloud9 Blue figured that there was an operator on C long. Everyone abandoned that point and went A, apart from Tens, who tried to keep the operator's attention for as long as possible to make sure the rotation just did not come through in time. They'll be able to keep a hold of it, they just have to keep it safe for a couple more seconds. Cloud9 Blue are getting closer to equalizing the scoreboard.
Well, this has been a fantastic resurgence from C9 Blue. I'm curious to see Tens not going for the operator. Despite, well, I think it would be a fantastic addition, especially because they know that Boogermen have an operator of their own. There aren't a ton of ultimates online yet either at the moment, so this is a fairly dry attempt. But I'm expecting yet another very, very aggressive pusher from C9 Blue. Again, this is fairly default, except for the fact where they just leave, like, pretend C doesn't exist, right? They got a couple pushing out into the courtyard area. Relix again, just chilling out in A. Gonna make a little bit of noise there. Try and create a diversion, a bit of a distraction, as it looks like they're going for another B execute, which is really surprising because we've kind of touched on this, but B is the easiest site to retake. However, they're playing their post-plant positions a little bit more smart this time. They're not pulling all the way out into the courtyard. They're going to hold on site and attempt to hold on to this and stop the defuse.
They do, however, have to keep a hold of the utility because Boogermen will have access to all of these angles they can come in. C9 Blue, Tens able to worm his way past Boogermen through that utility, through that dark cover. No fact will come through, so Boogermen now know all of where Cloud9 Blue are operating from. It doesn't matter. If you've got utility though, if you've got those bullets, Cloud9 Blue will be able to keep a hold of that point long enough for that spike to go off. The defuse cannot come through, and I like as well that Cloud9 Blue, as soon as they identified that the operator was on A, completely ignored it. Boogermen try to use the operator to spook them off B. You see Instinct with the op, move towards it, fire a couple of shots just blindly so you can hear the noise, you can hear the cue, and normally that's enough to spook teams when they don't have something that can immediately contest that operator on A link. Completely away from B, pushes them right out of the rotation, but C9 Blue actually keep a hold of that B side, keep a hold of that utility for when Boogermen actually want to come contest. However, Instinct has been able to keep a hold of that operator.
C9 playing with my emotions. Mitch kind of hovers over the operator, but instead opts for just the, you know, the usual rifle setup. And this is again, I mean, that was the clinic on why executing on B isn't your best option on Haven. You want to be going A or C. And it looks like this time around they are going to follow some sort of advice. I'm not too sure. The spike is moving towards C. We saw Shinobi use the ultimate to get onto the C site. He's all the way at the back of the site. The plant is going to come through. I mean, this is a fairly clean execute, apart from the fact where they do lose 2 players in the, you know, in their mission to get onto C site. They do take out the Cypher, which is really good. Anderson gets caught in a really strange situation there. Gets caught on the steps. Will get taken down by Tens. Time starts to tick down. Dev manages to get 2. As Tens is the last man standing, he's trying to watch that spike, trying to deny the defuse, manages to get 1 pick, but it's not going to be enough. Defuse is going to come through, and that brings us once again to match point, but this time in favor of Boogermen.
Tens went omen hunting, tries to find Anderson, and because he goes for Anderson, Boogermen know that there isn't a jet lurking all the way down C long. So they can safely move in and engage on the members of Boogermen who are, or rather Cloud9 Blue, who are just grouped up, who are trying to keep a hold of those angles but don't have that backwards pressure that lurks allow for. Therefore, you don't have to split your attention and you can just move straight forward. And then once the team is gone, collapse in on the remaining solo jet. Just like we're seeing Boogermen now understand on match point, if they're able to get a first pick as soon as the round begins, they are going to set themselves up in the best possible position. And so Instinct takes the risk,
There
and
it
it
is.
pays off.
Get out of my way.
Mitch is
You gotta
gone.
risk it to get the biscuit. Pushes out way down into C long, and this is classic. I mean, this is something we see Wardell do. It's something we see all the time. Jets pushing down C long, getting an aggressive pick, and then getting back to the rest of their team. But unfortunately for C9, after losing Tens, they'll also, well, not Tens, but after losing Mitch, they will also lose another one of their players. It's down to the 2v4 situation. The Bladestorm is out here, and we've seen how Tens can clutch out these fights with the Bladestorm, but if he doesn't notice there's a person pushing through the cloud burst, he's not going to be able to clutch out anything. There is a kill from Relics, but it's not enough. Boogermen are going to clutch this out and bring our scoreline to a 1-1. We're moving to a third map, and again, neither of us really expected the third map, but here we are.
I mean, we got told that Boogermen were a team to watch out for. I've heard a lot of people turn around and be like, hey, don't sleep on this team. They have talent. They've been floating around that precipice. They've been there. They've been in CS. They've been in Valorant on teams that have broken up. And you can see that teamwork is now paying off. And you know what? We've seen them on perhaps probably their weaker map. We've seen them run up against C9 on their strongest map. It is only fair, Sam, that the tables are flipped and we get to see Boogermen move on to Split and fingers crossed, I know we're both hoping for it, pull out that Viper.
Yeah, it's very, very likely. Viper is strongest on Split, and this is, of course, one of Boogermen's best maps. But if you're as excited as we are, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait just a few more minutes. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Viper, Split, who knows what else? We'll see you in just a few.